I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
of the
United
United States
of America
of America,
and
to
to
the
to
the
the
republic
republic for which
for which it
it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible.
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
The public portions of the board meeting are being recorded in accordance with the district policy 1420 and section 2-3-214 of the Montana Code annotated. By remaining in this meeting, all participants and attendees acknowledge they may appear on the recording, which will be placed on the school district's website for a minimum of 1 year from the date of the meeting.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to our meeting. Ms. Jonard, if you would give the directions for talking on agenda items, please.
Mike, do you have that in front of you?
I do not. Hang on, I can.
Here, we got it right here, Mike.
Oh, I can remember it. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item, please fill out the pink sheet at the head of the table and return it to the board secretary as soon as possible. And thank you very much. All right. At this point in time, I would.
And you forgot the caution part.
Oh, I must caution anyone wishing to speak, you may not discuss student issues, pending litigation, or staff issues at this time. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to change the agenda status and move communications first. Could I have a motion from trustees?
So moved.
Second. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? I believe I counted that the motion passes.
Correct.
All right, we are moving into the communications first, then followed by approval of minutes, then to consent agenda, and then to new business. So with communications, I would like to introduce Mr. Brian Anderson, the principal of the Kennedy Elementary School, to our meeting. Mr. Anderson?
Madam Chair, members of the board, good afternoon. I'm here to talk about Kennedy. Some of the things we have going on up there. And, you know, one of the things I wanted to talk about before I even started the slideshow was one of the points that we've really stressed this year is trying to build community up there. And you know, since COVID and some of the things like that, it seems like it's been something we really had to work on. And with our first picture here, just kind of my giggle, the teachers wanted me to put it in for our Halloween costumes. I don't know if I needed the skull cap or not, but made it look good. And so some of the things I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go a little bit fast at the beginning, and there's something really important I want to talk about at the end. One of the first things I want to talk about here is our MAP scores. And, you know, as we were kind of diving into the MAPS information and seeing how our school was doing, you know, we have all the colors and the numbers. And one of the things that we thought was really a positive coming out of Kennedy was from our first test to our second test, how many students' scores improved, what percentage of our kids improved. And some of those numbers are really high. And we're really going to test it here when we get to the third test, or when we get to the third MAPS test, to see if we can keep this up. And one of the things that we're doing with our students too are kind of explaining to them, you know, it's what we're looking for is that improvement all the time. We're not going to get so stressed out about if you reach this point, but as long as you're improving, as long as you're getting better all the time. And our kindergarten's a little cut off, but you know, one of the things we learned with kindergarten when we took these MAPS tests was it's difficult for those little hands to work the mouse, you know, and our librarian, who I'll be talking more about, has done a really good job of getting them into the library so that they can work with the computers, work with the mouse and things like that. You know, one of our big projects in November was our Indian Ed for All talking sticks, and we did it as a whole school down in the gym. We went out, got sticks off the M, and we brought them in. We presented what they meant, you know, why they were important to Native American culture. And we used our 5th and 6th graders to really help our younger students put together a talking stick that they could be proud of. The kids loved it. It was a great day for us. And family nights. As I jump into this, we've had a lot of family nights this year, and we're going to have another one next week. So I'll talk about here in a second. But we started out in October with our fall festival, just trying to get the families in, getting everybody in. And we started out a little bit slow, but by the time we get that, so we had craft night for Christmas, we had reading night, we had math night. A couple of things we did was we had hot dogs on our first night. We had kind of chili and dip for our families, for our math night to get families in. And then our last one was bingo, the last one we had. And for bingo, we managed to pack the gym. So it seems to be working. It seems that we're getting more and more families involved. Next week, we have STEM night. We have all kinds of different projects coming in that we're going to be running from our gym. Even my own son volunteered to do a circuit one for the students. And we'll kind of measure each time as we go, but we're hoping next week should be really packed. Talk about somebody with that here in a second too. And the pictures are included in this one. You can see we have our teachers and stuff and the different nights that we had. So book fair and bingo night. That was our last one. And with the bingo, we didn't have enough tables. It was great. We had so many kids and parents and stuff in there. We gave prizes away. Sheridan Hafer, who's our kindergarten teacher, she called the numbers out. She was really nervous at first, and then got her on the microphone, and she did a fantastic job. And we had our books for sale. And I want to say, we set records with how many books we sold. And we had the kids in all week picking out books and looking at them. So when their parents came, they could tell them what they wanted. It went really smooth. It went really well that night. It was a really good night for Kennedy. Our spring music program. I just wanted to put our spring music program in, kind of give kudos to our music teacher, Mrs. Roush. But once again, we can kind of feel that community coming at Kennedy, and we were a packed house for the music night, and she did a really good job. And one of the best things about our spring music festival was she let students come in that had instruments of their own, that had music ability, but brought their own guitars, brought their own violins, got to play them in front of the crowd. And it was, for those kids, it was a really big moment. Sometimes music doesn't get as much credit as everything else. And it was a really big moment for a lot of our students. She used all modern music, which kept the crowd into it. We had people singing along and stuff. So it went really well. Oops, went too far. Is there one more there, Corey?
Appreciate this, dear. Thank you so much. If I get you around the back, I can go in the library door.
She's in my lost.
That hand
chair. Yeah, that's second. Keep going down. This one? Next one. Well, there's 2 more to go. Go down. So that one, can I just talk about that one real fast here? Oh. Yeah, missed some of them as we're going. Okay, that one, yeah. And so just talking about implementation of PACs at Kennedy, Rebecca Schwarzenmiller is our librarian, and she's been handling the upper grades. Sheridan Hafer, our kindergarten teacher, she's just a 3rd-year kindergarten teacher. She's been handling with the younger kids. And you can see our boards. We have them all over the school. Our Toodles board is one that we don't even have that picture on there. But we've got our PACs boards all over the school, and we've really been using it as the positive way to, I hate to use the word discipline, but kind of get everybody where they need to be. And it's been working really well. And Schwartzmiller is all around the halls, always pushing tax terminology. And so is Miss Hafer with the little kids. It works really well. Go ahead and we'll go to the next one. Okay, this is the one I really wanted to talk about. You know, up at Kennedy, one of the things that happened this year is we have a lot of new faces, a lot of new teachers. And, you know, with the negative press, especially with like election and stuff like that, we hear bad things about teachers all the time. And I put all our teachers on. I want to talk about just one quick thing with each teacher. If we start up in the left-hand corner, Miss Mulcahy, she's our other kindergarten teacher. This year she stepped up and she's the president of the PTO. She's helped set up most of our family nights. She's done a fantastic job. And it's, for a young teacher, it's been a big responsibility. She's done a really good job. Next is Miss Hafer. I've already kind of talked about Miss Hafer. And then down below, we have Miss St. Pierre and Miss Ayers. They're kind of our two anchors. They're our second grade teachers. A lot of experience between the two of them. And Miss St. Pierre is, when we set up a family night, like our STEM night coming up, she's really the organizer that makes sure that everything's set up. If we're having food or whatever we're doing, she's done a fantastic job. Miss Ayers, once again, a lot of experience under her belt. And just to say something really positive about her, she has some tough kids in her class. And every time I walk in her room, her students are sitting down, listening to her, paying attention. Every morning I come in, and it was one of the slides that we kind of slipped by, but every morning I come in, we have our attendance chart. It's called Reach for the Top. And so I'll go check all the classes to see if they have perfect attendance that day. Her class comes in, they always, hi, Mr. Anderson, they're ready to go for the day. It's just a really impressive class to go into. Mrs. Barrowman's our special education teacher for our upper grades. When you go down to her room, it's packed. We have a lot of students down there. And I always tease her about being a ball of energy because she's moving from desk to desk to desk, helping our kids all the time. And she's always up in my office after school, telling me who we got to meet with and all those types of things. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have a new secretary, which is, you know, difficult for any school, but Tamara Henderson is our new secretary. And, you know, the first couple months were really a learning curve, but she's really the heartbeat of our school, if nothing else. And Nurse Barb is there too. And Nurse Barb, sometimes I laugh because she has everything from the super serious bloody injury to my throat hurts, you know, and she does a fantastic job with her kids. Next to her is, the next slide over is Miss Hall, or the next picture over is Miss Holly. She's our new third grade teacher, brand new this year. Not new to teaching, but new to our school. And one of the things I want to say about her that's amazing is she's a foster parent for one of our kids at school. She saw the need, she stepped up. It'll put you to tears. Miss Musset, next, kind of underneath the main picture there, is our other special education teacher. She has two foster kids up at one that she's adopting, but at Kennedy. Above her at the top there is Kayla Sullivan and Beck Schwartzmiller. Kayla Sullivan is our counselor, and she never stops. She goes from about 10 to 8 in the morning till at least 4 o'clock every day. Sets up all our meetings with parents. She's always got our information backed up. Next to her, Miss Bailey and Miss Littlefield are brand new teachers. Both in our 4th grade, they had to fill in some big shoes coming in this year. Bailey is a Rockies teacher for us. Miss Littlefield is volunteers for everything. She was our volleyball coach. Every family night, she's right in the middle of everything. And then down, we have Miss Ham and Miss Campbell. Miss Campbell is also another teacher with a lot of experience. And Miss Ham's only in her 2nd year, but she's been a fantastic mentor for her. If you ever walked into Miss Ham's room, Mary Catherine's room, you wouldn't know that she's a 2nd-year teacher. You'd never know. And then Janelle Ward at the bottom there, she's our monitor, you know, for recess and stuff. She's good, but she's reading with kids constantly. Every time I'm looking for her in the building, she's reading with another group of kids. And then on the top there, Miss Riley is our new reading coach. She stepped in that position this year. She's another one. She's always in the classrooms, always checking on test scores, always talking to me about what we can do this, we can do that. And sometimes, you know, like with our title classes and stuff, she steps in, she'll teach the class. She's fantastic. I can't say enough nice things about her. Miss Malakny, another 1st-year teacher. and she's another one. She volunteers for everything. She was a volleyball coach. If we need a sub in the building, she's the first one. She just volunteers. Our ski trip, she stepped up and went on our ski trip because our fifth grade teacher had a medical emergency. She stepped up and went. Mr. Conley, there in the middle on the right-hand side, is our sixth grade teacher. One of my favorite stories about him this year is the Dream Big basketball game up at Tech. He's a sixth grade teacher, so he doesn't see a lot of the little kids, but he took a group of 6 kids to the basketball game. And then when he got to school the next day, the kids ran up and were hugging him and stuff. And he was like, oh, I was like, you made an impression. That's the important thing. And then Mrs. Smythe and Manny Rodriguez, our fifth grade teachers. Mrs. Smythe's husband stepped up to be our basketball coach. She stayed every day until basketball was over, preparing lessons, doing all that stuff, stepping in to help him when he needed it. They did a lot of work to make our basketball team finally get some wins. Mr. Rodriguez, he's another one. He's only a fourth year teacher, but he is kind of the anchor of the 5th and 6th grade. He's the one they go to for whenever we need advice on something, the ski trip, those types of things. He's the guy that gets everything ready. And then in the bottom corner there, I have Miss Kim Cody. She's our speech teacher, and she's moves to different schools. But when she's at our school, one of the things that has always impressed me is she'll take any kid. It's never a question. When we have a meeting or something, she volunteers. Oh, I can bring him down and talk to him for a little while. We had a student 2 weeks ago whose father didn't want him in any special programs or anything. He said, he can just come down. I'll just work with him on my free time. And she stepped right into the role. So it's one of the great things about Kennedy. We have a lot of new faces, a lot of new teachers, but it's probably one of the busiest schools in the district. They're always doing something. We always got something going on. So I wanted to make sure that I gave those guys credit. So that's what I have for you guys tonight. Thank you very much. And if you want to come up and visit us, we're open anytime you want to come up. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson, and thank your staff. Kennedy is a very special place, and I sincerely appreciate your recognition of your staff. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Appreciate your time. I've been there, especially when people went through with coats
That's right.
2 years ago. That was wonderful. All right, next item on the agenda is a first reading and review of policy 4330P, rules and regulations for building use, 4330F, application and contract for use of school facilities. Ms. Jonart.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I just want to let you know that this policy, we worked on this policy for quite a while, probably three months, and we had a subcommittee that worked on it to make sure, and the goal was to make sure that our facilities usage agreements were fair to everybody who wants to use our facilities, and also make sure that we were keeping our facilities in good shape when people were using it. So with that, I want to go through the changes that are being recommended. And the good thing about this is our first reading. You'll have an opportunity to review it for a month, and we'll come back for the second reading next month. The first page is in terms of rules and regulations for building use is 4330P, the procedure. The first real change is that used to say that all doors must be secured when building is vacated, and turning off the lights and the alarms secured and the building is locked down. But we have all of that now digital, and so we just deleted the language regarding setting the alarms and just made it all doors must be secured when the building is vacated, and that's automatically done. The next piece to the change of the procedure is a lot of language that was eliminated. Generally, there will not be a charge for the use of school property except for when there was about 3 paragraphs that were redundant. So we are deleting that language of those 3 paragraphs in the procedure regarding how the charges for the school property, because that is going to be addressed in the other parts of the policy. And it also talks about the schedule of the fees. And again, we have that'll all be addressed in another portion of this policy. So this piece under the procedures was eliminated. Again, under 21 of the procedure, says the use of school property shall be supervised by an adequate number of adult sponsors to assure proper care and use of the property. As a general rule, a custodian engineer will be on the premises when a group is scheduled to use the facilities. And then there is a lot of language about exceptions. We took that language out again because again, it's being addressed in another section of the procedure. The number 22 procedure talks about when administrator finds it's necessary that police officers or other security personnel be retained for crowd control, such as requirement may be added as a condition of the facility use contract. The user is responsible for the costs associated with any additional security personnel. Smoking, vaping, or possession of use of alcohol beverages is prohibited on this school property. That sentence was deleted because again, it is addressed in another part of this procedure. That's the only changes really into the procedure part. When you get into the actual form of the agreement, that is where the new changes come. And I want to address the rental tiers. One time we just had one set fee for any group, and it was really difficult to determine who should be charged and who shouldn't be charged. So the group decided on creating a tiered system. So the first tier 1, these are rental tiers now. For example, tier 1, that would be for school district events and activities. They're actually school district events. In tier 1, then no insurance would be required. There would be no rental fee. And examples of that exactly are our own student clubs, our activities, our athletic events, PTO, or OPI if they come in. Any of those would have no rental fees or insurance required. Tier 2, rental tier 2 would be for organizations or clubs using facilities for practice only and less than 2 hours per session. The insurance would be required, but fees may be waived for youth practices. So anybody, like traveling teams that want to come in and use our facilities, yes, we always require the insurance, but we would waive that fee. And again, sports teams, traveling teams is an example of a tier 2 rental. Tier 3 rental would be 501c3 organizations. These are nonprofit organizations, clubs, or youth traveling teams charging participation fees. Like, for example, they charge for registration fee, membership participation, donation requests, or entry fee. Insurance is required. That hasn't changed. And 50% of the rental fees charged, 50% of the rental fees charged, the district maintenance personnel hourly rate and other personnel fees as needed for the event or facility. So for these tier 3 people, they would only be charged at 50% of the rental fees, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. An example of that are youth sporting events like tournaments. Not our own sponsored tournaments, but other tournaments that are not sponsored by the district. Tier 4 rental. These are organizations or clubs charging participation fees, registration fee, membership participation, donation requests, or entry fees. Again, this is insurance required. That they would be paid 100% of the rental fees. They would pay 100% of the rental fees. And again, the district maintenance and personnel hourly rate and other personnel fees as needed for the event and or facility. For example, sport camps, private service providers, film companies, theater companies, private tutoring lessons, all of those for-profit organizations. Tier 5, community partnerships. Those are the ones that we have an MOU with or contract on file with the business office. Again, insurance would be required, and the fees could be negotiated because this would be a long-term contract or an MOU. For example, we have some, like with Butte Silver Bowl. And then finally, Tier 6, these would be special events. These are one-time events that occur. Again, insurance would be required. And again, fees may be negotiated based upon what kind of event. And I'll give you an example. Universities coming in, or other school districts that are coming in using our facilities, class reunions, community events or charity events. And so those are one-time events, and we would put them under a Tier 6 rental, and the fees may be negotiated. Those are the 6 rental tiers. Then the fee charges have been changed from the policy, and here are the changes we're recommending. Elementary gyms, they were being charged at the same as like East in the high school. We felt that needed to be reduced, so we have an hourly charge of $20 and a maximum charge of $120 a day. East and the high school gyms, they have a $40 hourly charge and a maximum charge of $200 a day. Bulldog Memorial Charlie Merrifield Track, that's the entire facility, including all of the track equipment that you might need. That's $60 an hour or $800 a day. The Bulldog Memorial Stadium, that might be just for a soccer game. They're not using track or any of the hurdles or any of that kind of stuff. That would be $60 an hour, $650 an hour, and $500 a day. Naranchi Stadium didn't change. It only that we added an hourly charge, $60 an hour, $750 a day. Computer labs, $40 an hour or $200 a day. The East Auditorium is $250 a day. Butte High School Auditorium is $500 a day. And there's a big difference because of the lighting equipment, and the sound systems are far more advanced at the Butte High School Auditorium than the East. The cafeteria and kitchen is $40 an hour, $200 a day. Band and choir rooms are $20 an hour or $100 a day. Parking lots are $20 an hour and $100 a day, and classrooms are just a flat $50 a day charge, regardless of hours. So those are the recommended changes to the facilities agreement. I would hope that you would take some time to review this policy over the next month. Call me with any kinds of questions, but we really worked hard on this to make sure that it was going to be fair and equal to everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is the first reading of policy 7225, crowdfunding proposals. Ms. Jonard.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, this is a brand new policy, policy 7225. And this is put in place because there are now different platforms that teachers and administrators can go on, like Donor's Choice, where you can go in and ask for donations. It's a national platform, and you can ask for donations for your school, for materials or books or whatever. And they go out and people donate to your fundraising project. And then the money is then sent to the district. Well, we didn't have a crowdfunding, we didn't have a policy regarding that. And so we thought it was important to, first of all, to make sure that when teachers do go out and request funding sources, that they should need to make sure the administrators know what's going on and that it is aligned with what we are doing in the district. So basically it says a Butte School District professional may submit a proposal to benefit the district schools by raising funds or acquiring materials via a crowdfunding platform that has been approved by the superintendent of the Butte School District. And there are several of those, and we'll be giving a list of them to the teachers. The proposal should be submitted using policy 7225F1 to the building principal or school administrator for approval. Once approved by the building principal or school administrator, the superintendent or her designee will then review the proposal. A decision on the application will be made within 10 days, 10 school days. And there are some criteria. If the proposal is denied by the superintendent or her or his designee, they will communicate on the above reference form the reason for denial. And reasons for denial may include the proposal requests the purchase or use of technology that is not compatible with district current or future plans. The proposal requests the purchase and or use of technology that's not supported by the district network administrator. The proposal requests the purchase of curriculum materials and supplies that are not standards-based. The proposal requests materials that could be substituted by similar materials that are already supplied by the district or will be supplied by the district. The proposal seeks to start a program that would require the continued use of materials or funding beyond what is obtained through the proposal. The proposal will result in demands on staff not involved in the proposal. The proposal is in conflict with or takes away from adequate instructional time and or established procedures of the district improvement plan or the school improvement plan. The proposal requests athletic equipment or donations not consistent with or in direct conflict with athletic programs of the Butte Public Schools. The proposal is in conflict with current and or planned curriculum and instruction initiatives, school policy, one or more of the Butte District's collective bargaining agreements, regulations of the Office of Public Instruction, and our Montana general laws. So that would be that's the gist of the new crowdfunding policy. Again, you'll have a month to review these, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any of those.
Thank you, Ms. Jonart. Next, we have public comment on items not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to speak on any matter not on the agenda may step forward now. Please identify yourself before you begin. I must caution anyone wishing to speak, you may not discuss personnel issues, student issues, or pending litigation during the comment session. Due to time constraints, each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment on matters not on the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to our approval of minutes for the special board meeting of February 13th, 2025. Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions or changes to these minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
those opposed? Henry? Thanks, Henry. All those
Aye.
opposed?
Yep.
Motion passes. Next is the approval of minutes, regular board meeting, February 18th, 2025. Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those, or do trustees have any changes or questions to these minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the consent agenda, approval of payroll, claims, budget transfers, revenue reports, travel requests, Butte High and East Middle School activity fund reports. Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been
Second.
moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving to the PAR, approval of the amended PAR, February 13th, 2025. Miss Alley.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm bringing back the February 13th special board meeting par with a change of date of a termination. I appreciate your consideration of.
Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions of Miss Alley regarding the amended PAR? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of PAR number 1. Miss Alley.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm bringing the regular board meeting par for March 18th on it. We're noting one leave of absence under certified personnel, one resignation, and one retirement. Under classified personnel, we are noting 5 appointments, 2 resignations, and 1 inactive removal. Under supplemental personnel, we are noting 15 appointments and 2 resignations. I'd appreciate your approval of the regular par for March 18th.
Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions of Miss Alley regarding PAR number 1? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of PAR number 2. Miss Alley.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm presenting to you a second par on it. We are noting the termination of 1 classified personnel. I'd appreciate your support.
Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions regarding PAR number 2? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. New business items. Second reading and approval of policy 3150 part-time attendance. Ms. Jonart.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I request your approval of 3150 part-time attendance as presented last month.
Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Trustees have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Second reading and approval of policy 3210, equal education, non-discrimination, and sex equity. Ms. Jonart.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I'm requesting approval of policy 3210 as presented last month.
Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Second reading and approval of policy 3226, student protection prohibit on hazing, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Motion
Madam
from
Chair.
trustees.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I'm requesting approval of policy 3226 as presented last month.
Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the Exxon Mobil Education Alliance Program Grant, Margaret Leary Elementary. Ms. Jonart.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I ask permission, your approval of the Exxon Mobil Education Alliance Program Grant submitted by Margaret Leary School. I appreciate your approval.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of permissive levy notice. Mr. Patrick.
Madam Chair, members of the board, attached for your approval in the elementary and high school resolution of intent to increase non-voted levy per MCA 20-9-116, the trustees of a school district shall adopt a resolution not later than March 31st of each fiscal year and provide notice pursuant to subsection 2 whenever the trustees intend to impose an increase in the non-voted levy in an ensuing school fiscal year. This resolution also meets the requirements set forth in MCA 20-9-502. I appreciate your time and consideration of this resolution. And this is something that we have to notice up every year.
Motion from trustees. Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions of Mr. Patrick regarding the approval of permissive levy notice? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval to set levy amounts. Mr. Patrick.
Madam Chair, members of the board, attached for your approval is the Elementary District General Fund Levy election ballot for the May 6, 2025 school election. The ballot for the elementary district calls for a $93,035.32 levy, which is approximately 1.11 mils. The duration limit of the levy is permanent once approved by the voters, assuming the district levies that amount at least once in the next 5 years. The estimated tax increase on a $100,000 home would be approximately $1.50. The estimated tax increase for a $300,000 would be $4.50, and for a $600,000, approximately $8.99. The legal deadline for the ballot certification is not less than 30 days before the election, April 4th, 2025, for this year's school election. No additional information is expected, and no other board meetings are scheduled before this deadline. I appreciate your time and consideration on this item. And I'd also like to add that if we do approve this, it doesn't mean that we need to go ahead and put this on the ballot. We just need to make sure that if we are going to put this on the ballot, that we have it approved before the April 4th deadline. I guess Judy and I, we talked, and we would recommend that if we aren't going to hold a trustee election, and that would be if, so we have only had one person file so far, I believe. We have 2 spots open. So if only 2 people file, then we would not have to run the election. And so therefore, we would also, I think, want to cancel this portion of the election. It just doesn't make a lot of sense if we're not running the trustee election to run this election here, because it's going to cost us between $40,000 to $60,000 to run the election, which we'd only net $40,000. Is there any questions on that?
Okay, motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions of Mr. Patrick regarding the set levy amounts? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of records destruction. Miss Alley.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm asking for your approval to dispose of the attached records. I have included the destruction schedule. I appreciate your time and consideration.
Motion from trustees. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions of Miss Alley regarding records destruction? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the 2025-2026 school calendar. No, Melissa Johnson. There she is. Melissa.
Hi, Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm asking for your approval for the 25-26 academic calendar. Clerical and teachers voted on the calendar from March 5th to 7th. Vote was 98 for a PLC calendar that resembled the same days off, just started 5 minutes earlier and offered PLCs. Calendar 2-1 with 125 votes, which is the same start time, same pretty much schedule as this year. The Fridays off in May, except for the Friday after Memorial Day, because we have the Monday off.
Motion from trustees.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Do trustees have any questions of Ms. Johnson regarding the calendar? Mr. Kiaba.
Chair, I was just wondering how big of a difference between the 2 calendars?
There just was PLC, so it started at 8:13
Oh.
and the kids would get out at 12, K through 2 would get out at 12:15, one Friday a month. And 3 through 12 would get out at one Friday month, so the teachers could do PLCs on that Friday.
Okay.
So it just moved the start time to 8:13. But we had done a survey last year with the teachers and the parents on the spring break comparison to the Fridays off, and parents and teachers, hands down, it was well above 30 or 40% want like the Fridays off instead of the spring break. Parents were around, some schools 50-50, but a lot of schools, high school, junior high, and I think 3 elementaries was about 60-40.
Just one
Go ahead.
question. So PLCs, if this calendar that we're voting on right now doesn't include the PLC, do they do it at a different time?
They
or-
do it during the school day. So yeah, so the elementary school would just combine classes. They do 6th grade readers with 1st graders, or, they try to do other things during that time. They were just looking at the convenience so that there wasn't students in the building to make it a little bit easier and not as stressful for the transition of the kids. I did not on the calendar do a breakdown of what grade level, like middle, elementary, and high, to see if there was a difference between the votes on that. In the future, I think I will do that just to see if who's really not interested in the PLCs.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All
Aye.
those opposed? All those opposed? Motion passes. At this time, I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your time, your consideration.